everyone, welcome to a new video. As you've probably seen from the title, this is a bit of a different one for me, but this week is Thyroid Awareness Week and 25th of May is World Thyroid Day. So I thought if I was going to publish this video, this would be a good time to do it. I actually filmed this nearly a year ago and I didn't think it was going to see the light of day because, well, one, it's quite emotional and I couldn't face editing it for a very long time. And number two, it didn't really have the narrative that I expected this video to have. I've had hypothyroid disease for a long time, but I filmed this on the day I had a blood test because I was feeling particularly crappy, and I expected the narrative to be the results would come back saying that I'd need more medication, I'd get more medication, and then I would feel better. So there would be like a story to it with a positive outcome, but as you will see, that didn't quite happen. And I didn't want to put up a video that was just one big long sob story. I thought no one really needs that in their lives, but as it is Thyroid Awareness Week, there's no point in having awareness if people only share positive stories, because unfortunately that's not the reality of things. So yeah, I'm sorry, this is not a particularly happy video, and it's quite a long one, and I go off in tangents, I go off on my own thoughts. I'm afraid I treat you a bit like a therapy session. I hope you don't mind. Anyway, here it is. Hello everybody, this is a bit of a different video for me, and I wasn't sure whether to do this one or not because, well, I feel like I'm jumping on the bandwagon a bit of doing the my insert illness here story or journey type video, but actually I think a lot of people do find those videos helpful if they've got that illness themselves. It's good for them to have someone to relate to, and I'm hoping that this video will be also helpful to those people who know somebody with, you've probably seen from the title already, I have hypothyroid disease, and it's just one of those illnesses that I don't think are talked about very much. Also, it usually affects older women, and therefore I don't think there are actually many YouTube videos about it. It's been a long time since I found out I've had it. I think it's about 15 years, maybe a bit longer than that. So actually it's been quite a long time since I've really done much research about it. I'm not a doctor and I'm not an expert, so my medical knowledge of this is actually quite limited. All I can tell you, it's an autoimmune disease, which means that my body thinks it's being attacked when it actually isn't, and therefore it goes into defense mode and tries to help me survive even when I don't need that extra help. I'm going to put some links below that will help you out if you want some proper professional advice and information about this. The one that I have affects the thyroid gland, which is in the front of my neck, I think, although doctors also check the back of my neck, so, but I'm pretty sure it's about here. And the thyroid gland is responsible for because my body thinks it's being attacked, it slows everything right down to hold on to everything. So my body thinks I'm being starved, and therefore it doesn't burn up any fat because it wants to hold on to everything to make sure that I live for longer, and it just slows everything right down to preserve everything, basically. Unfortunately, it's one of those illnesses that affects people differently. So if you know somebody that has hypothyroid disease, or sometimes it's called hypothyroidism, then what I'm saying might not necessarily be relevant for them exactly, or for you if you have it and you're watching this for that reason. So I can only tell you my story and what's happened with me. And the reason why I decided to do this today is because I went for a blood test. I haven't had a blood test in a couple of years, and I have to be honest, I dread it every single time, not because I'm scared of the needle or that horrible feeling of them extracting blood out of your arm. To be honest, that's no problem for me. I'm just terrified of the results because I've had a lot of problems where my test results say that I'm normal, that my thyroid levels are normal. So what they do is they reduce my level of medication, and then I feel like crap and I ask for another blood test and they go, oh yeah, sorry, yeah, you need more of that. And so I've just gone through a lot of up and down times like that, and yeah, that's difficult to deal with. Anyway, so I'm going to tell you today's date. It is the 12th of July, and the reason why I'm saying this is because I don't know how long this video is going to be recorded over. I will probably come back in a week's time or whenever I get the results, and then if I have a follow-up doctor's appointment I will then report back on that as well. But for now I'll tell you about how I sort of discovered I had it. And my main symptom was tiredness, and it did take me a long time to convince the doctors that it wasn't a normal level of tiredness. Actually, it was my husband Chris who said, this isn't right, you need to go to the doctors, you shouldn't be falling asleep on the settee every day and not being able to get through the day without napping a couple of times at least. So they tried telling me it was my lifestyle, because at that time I was at university and writing a lot. I was just, most of my day while the kids were at school, involved me sitting on the settee and writing. But I did get a thyroid test. So my first prescription was for 5 micrograms of thyroxine. Put that in perspective, my regular dose now is on 150 micrograms. They put me on that for about 6 months, then tested that, realised I needed a bit more, put me on 10. I think another 3 months later it was 15. So it took me several years before actually they gave me enough to make me feel a bit better. And also they tried various different ones. I was lucky enough to be referred to a specialist at Tunbridge Wells Kent and Sussex Hospital, and I saw Dr. Barnes, who was very helpful. As well as thyroxine, I was given lyrothyronine. That's meant to help more than just the thyroxine. And also then he put me on Armour thyroid, which had to be brought in from America because it's not licensed in this country. That's a natural thyroid taken from pigs' thyroid glands, which does sound a bit, yeah, you obviously couldn't do that if you were vegan. When I moved to Somerset, unfortunately the care has not been so good. They won't refer me to a specialist, and they don't, because they just don't see the point. My thyroid results look fine and they don't really take into account how I feel. I knew I was likely to cry in this video. I didn't think it would be quite so soon. Excuse me. Right, get it together. I've only just started, really. Okay, yeah, my symptoms are mainly tiredness, weight gain and forgetfulness. I'm going to try and keep this focused. Okay, tiredness. First of all, I will address. When you're tired, everything is more difficult. You handle emotions worse, you handle decisions worse, and generally you're slower. And that's how my entire life is. And that's obviously difficult, and it's difficult to realise that I'm probably never going to be able to get a full-time job. Yeah, I'm very lucky that actually my husband's income is enough to cover us, or me and our kids, and pay our mortgage, and yeah, very lucky about that. I don't have to worry about that. A lot of other people are not in such a privileged position, so yeah, nap times at about 4 o'clock are a regularity for me, and just exhaustion is just a natural state. I've been a bit nervous with doing vlogging because when you generally watch YouTubers, they have beautiful, perfectly clean houses, and ours isn't. It is a complete and utter shithole, and that is mainly because I don't have the energy to clean it. I can't blame my disease entirely on that. I'm crap at tidying up anyway, but it doesn't help that I am too tired to do it most of the time. Chris is always working. You just have to apologise every time someone comes to the house and say, sorry about the mess. Actually, by now I'm sort of at the point where I can hardly be bothered to do that anymore. Actually, I don't know if you've heard of the spoons story. I've heard this being used for lupus and fibromyalgia and ME, and it's a way of helping people understand what it could be like. I heard about this a long time ago, so I apologise if you've heard this before and I'm not quoting it quite exactly how it is. But somebody was trying to explain, I think it was somebody with lupus, was trying to explain to someone else how it feels, and it's like you're given 10 spoons. I think this person was in a canteen, they collected 10 spoons and said, right, that is my energy for the day. That's what I've probably got for the day. So it takes 1 spoon to get out of bed and get dressed. It takes another spoon to get your breakfast ready and perhaps your family, your children's breakfast ready. It takes another spoon to get yourself out of the house and off to work for the day. It takes another spoon just to survive the morning, another spoon to run your errands that you have to do around the town at lunchtime, and then you get home from work or whatever you've been doing for the day. So then you might get to, like, so you've got 2 spoons left, and then you've got to choose between maybe cooking a nice meal or playing with your kids or going to see the friend you promised you'd pop round and visit, and you sort of have to pick between them. So it's like that all the time. I hope that sort of helps explain it a bit. It's a bit like you just don't have a limited resource of energy, and I know nobody does, but you might wake up in the morning and realise actually you haven't got the full 10 spoons and you have to decide what to cut back on. Or you might have to rely on adrenaline to get you through like an important day. This is what I find in holidays, or occasionally I take my clothing business away to festival stalls and weekends away, things like that. I have to rely on adrenaline to get me through, and then I find I absolutely crash afterwards. Like a 2-week holiday will take me 2 weeks to get over, because holidays are quite often, well, our holidays are not sitting by the pool reading books. We tend to go sightseeing and visiting and travelling, road trips, that sort of thing. It's quite an intense, high energy, you know, and also when you're around people all the time, your mind has to be busy all the time, and it just takes me a long time to get over that sort of thing. So I hope that's explained the energy side of things. If I'm remembering things to cover later, I'll sort of put them in, and you might see my future self popping up throughout this video, I'm afraid. The weight gain I'm going to address. Now, this is the thing that I have struggled the most to come to terms with, which is stupid because it's just being fat, and at the end of the day it's just being fat. It doesn't change who I am. The only thing that changes is what clothes size I have to buy. But for some reason it's affected me really badly. I'm someone that's always been fit, healthy, I've exercised a lot. I can't say I'm like I'm not a health freak. I don't drink green juice and kale and horrible things just because it's supposed to be good for me. But I've always had my vegetables and a healthy balance between that and chocolate. I'm not going to say I don't eat chocolate and cakes, because I do, I love them. But even though I've always not been a big, happy, loud, bubbly person, and I do remember being tired an awful lot throughout secondary school. I think it was the year my sister got married that this illness actually hit hard, because I remember dieting like crazy, because her other bridesmaid, well, she was a size 0. I was a size 12, which, God, I would kill to be a size 12 now. But at the time I felt like a heifer next to her. So I dieted. The bridesmaid dress was in 2 pieces. My top half was size 12 and my skirt was size 10. I thought, that's fine. I've always been quite good at controlling my weight. If I wanted to lose weight, I'd cut back, I'd lose weight. Then I could relax a bit, then be good, lose weight. It never really bothered me. I would just be sensible about it. And then that year I was trying to lose a bit more weight because of being the bridesmaid, and the weight just piled on, and I think I was probably a stone heavier and really stretching out the fabric of that bridesmaid dress by the time we were actually wearing it for the wedding day. And I think by a year later I'd put on another 2 stone, and quite frankly I was just embarrassed of myself. I stopped waiting in the playground to collect the kids from school. I'd ask them to come and find me at the car park, and because the weight change happened so quickly, it was undoubtedly noticeable, and it was just frankly embarrassing and shameful. And at the time, comedians were just massively picking on fat people all the time. They'd joke about people with thyroid problems, and I'd get so angry about that. Thank God people don't do that anymore. I'd say that's at least something that's changed, that's good. But yeah, it's amazing how shameful it feels to suddenly be fat. Particularly when you're just eating the same as you always were, or exercising. I was kickboxing training at the time, and I would go to kickboxing classes 3 times a week and a street dancing class another day a week, and I did that for years. That didn't shift the fat. Then I stopped doing that and I joined the gym instead and did like a variety of different classes that they offered there. None of that helped. But it's also like going to the doctors and they weigh you and you hand over your food diary and you tell them how much you exercise, and they look at you like, and you know that they just don't believe you. They just assume, and I'm sure they do get that. I'm sure they get people that lie to them about how much they eat or exercise. But I just hated that feeling that they thought I was one of them, and it took a long time to come to terms with the weight gain as well. So I'd keep thinking, oh, I'll lose it soon, or oh well, they've given me another 20 micrograms of thyroxine, maybe that will work and I'll start to lose weight now. So it took me a long time to actually start buying clothes that were in a proper size. And so I would say to you, if you are putting on weight because, well, for any reason, not just because you've got hypothyroid disease, but for any reason, if you put on weight, you are worth buying new clothes for. Don't feel uncomfortable in clothes that don't fit. Just put them to one side. Even if you're not ready to give them to charity, put them in bags, get them out of the way, get them out of sight, and fill your wardrobe with new clothes. Now with Primark and H&M, there's no excuse not to. You can afford to buy some new clothes and do it. Don't pretend that you're just going to lose weight again and then be unhappy every time you look at yourself in the mirror. Buy yourself some really fucking nice clothes, and that would be my advice to you, because if you're in nice clothes, then you just feel better about yourself anyway. What else to say about this? Yeah, if you know somebody that has hypothyroid disease and is putting on weight, don't mention it. Don't like say, oh, we won't go to, if you normally go and get pudding or something, don't like subtly not go and get pudding, or don't suggest that they take up some exercise. None of that's going to help. That's just going to make them feel worse. Just don't mention it. It doesn't need to be mentioned. And if they say that they're worried, just tell them that they're beautiful regardless. Right, the battery's flashing. I'm going to try and compose myself and change. Okay, so on to my next main symptom, which is forgetfulness, and that is just embarrassing. It's just another one of those things that's embarrassing. I have conversations with people and not remember the name that I mentioned 5 minutes ago to them, and just not remember things that have happened, just not remembering things. It's embarrassing. I almost always come away embarrassed from a conversation because I've messed it up one way or another, forgetting names of relevant people in the news and just, well, names of people generally. And I remember talking to my cousin a couple of years ago and I just messed up the whole afternoon. I hardly ever see them and I just messed up everything. I couldn't remember names of people I'd met in the past. I couldn't remember the states in America that we were about to go on holiday at. Oh, it was just awful, and you just come away thinking, oh, that was embarrassing. But as I'm getting older, I'm getting more sort of used to that. I'm starting to get better at just shrugging that off and thinking, oh well, there's nothing I can do about it. And it's not just forgetfulness, it's just a general dullness of the mind. You know, I feel stupid a lot of the time. I just don't get it. I like to think I'm not really that stupid, but sometimes I feel like I am. Maybe I should mention how it affects the people around me. Mainly, I think the problem for them is me being down, depressed about not feeling in control of my life, not feeling in control of my body. That gets me down sometimes, and they have to put up with that. My husband's put up with me a lot, you know, moaning about how fat I am. No one likes to hear that a lot. It's boring. But mainly I feel sorry for my kids who have to put up with me not remembering conversations I've had with them and not remembering times I've had with them. I can imagine that must be quite difficult. And particularly in those early years when I definitely wasn't being given enough medication. They did have to put up with a mum that just, when they came home from school, I'd just, unless I was taking them off to an after school club, which they did do quite a lot of, I just collapsed on the settee, and I wasn't fun. I haven't been that fun mum that jumps up to play games and you know, is active with them, because most of the time I was just too tired, and that's a shame. Another small, not very important symptom I get is very, very dry skin, and I met somebody who suffered terribly with the dry skin issue, where she, you know, it was just falling off her the whole time. Hair thinning, I don't know whether it would have done, I've got thin hair, but that might just be me, you know, I can't blame everything, you know, you do have that, you've got to be careful when you're told you've got something like this, that you don't blame it for everything. Yeah, it's the dullness of mind, slowness of everything, and accepting body changes. Those are the things that I struggle with. And I would also say that if you know someone with the illness that's being treated for it, don't assume that the treatment works because it doesn't entirely work for me. And I find in winter, if I've got a cold, it's not just a cold, it's like, so all my hypothyroid symptoms are then just magnified, and it takes me ages to get over a cold. And people's bodies, hormone levels change anyway, so sometimes for no reason I just feel terrible, and I'm guessing that's just because that's what my body is doing and I can't fight it. Yeah, if you know somebody with hypothyroid disease and they say they're tired, don't just think, oh well, you just get on with it. I mean, yeah, you do just get on with it, but there are limits, and then you just have to be kind to yourself and think, right, I can't do anymore, I just have to live in a messy house with cobwebs everywhere. You know, I just have to buy clothes that are 2 or 3 sizes bigger than I was naturally. You have to do your best, which is all we can do, really. I feel like I'm not offering a great deal of positivity here to anybody watching, and I'm really sorry for that. My advice would be to you is insist on seeing a specialist if you're not feeling well. You do have days where you think, I'm just fed up. I'm fed up of living my life being tired. It feels like I'm living like half a life, really, in some of the time. And learning to accept that is... I have filmed so many endings to this segment of this video, and I'm not really getting anywhere with it. I'm just going backwards and forwards, so I'm sorry I haven't got a great deal of positivity and advice to give you, because I can't tell you that the story has a positive ending. I don't feel well. I don't feel like even on 150 micrograms of thyroxine that I'm getting enough, and my blood test results show that I am, and so they're not giving me any more. However, your medication, if you've got this as well, your medication might be absolutely fine and make you feel well. I mean, I certainly feel better than I used to, and sometimes I have really bad days. I think, oh my god, I used to feel like this all the time. Thank goodness I'm not as bad as that anymore. So I do keep reminding myself that it could be worse, and of all the diseases in the world to have, this one is not that bad. It could, you know, a lot of people get much more serious illnesses and diseases, and I'm thankful if I'm going to get one that this one is treatable to a certain extent. So basically the most positive I can get, I'm afraid, for ending this bit. If you have any questions you'd like to ask me about thyroid disease, I'll answer as best as I can, but like I said, I'm not an expert or a doctor. Perhaps there's something I should have mentioned that I haven't done, just ask me in the comments and I'll try and be as helpful as I can. And also, I don't know, when I film these videos, I'm not a big YouTuber, so I've got no idea how many people will end up watching this, but if it ends up being a big one and people do comment, it'd be great if people could, you know, read through other people's comments and help out where you can. I'd love to read other people's advice to other people's questions as well as my own, because that would be helpful for everybody. So please do get involved in the comments below, and I'll be back in a week's time to update you on the blood test results. And I'm sorry if this has been a long rambly one. It's not one I've managed to be the most succinct or concise with, I'm afraid, but I hope you managed to stay with me and follow what it was I was trying to say. Also, I think I've written a couple of blog posts about this in the past. I'll put those links below if you want to read them, although I'll be honest, it was a while ago, I can't remember what it was I wrote about. But okay, that's it for now. I'll see you in a couple of seconds for you, in a week's time for me. Bye. Hello everyone, here's a little update. It's now Wednesday the 19th of July, a week since I had my blood test. I actually had a phone call on Friday from the receptionist saying that the doctor wants to speak to me about my blood test results, but there's not an appointment available to do that until Monday the 31st of July. She said there was no point in me calling about my blood test results, but actually I'm keen to know what they are, so I'm about to call them now and see what they say. It's closed until 2. Oh, how typical. Okay, I'll be back in a minute. Hello, I'm just calling because I had a blood test last week, and yeah, I was just calling for the results, please. Oh right, well I've made an appointment with the doctor. Yes, I just wanted to know if you could tell me what the actual results were. 0.07. Is there a T3 and T4 as well, or just the TSH? 4.5. Okay, and the T4, is that there? No, okay. Okay, thanks very much. Bye. Well, that's not the news I'd hoped to hear or was expecting to hear. My TSH level is 0.07, which means it is actually just below the normal range, or what the NHS call the normal range. And that means they think I might be on too much thyroxine and they might want to take some away. At least I know now before my phone call with the doctor, so I can be prepared for a fight on my hands. We'll see what happens. I've got to wait now until a week and a half till I speak to the doctor about this, so I'll update you then. Hi, well I was told that you wanted to speak to me about my thyroid results. Well no, I was surprised at the results actually. I thought, I don't feel well. I don't feel like I've got enough. No, still struggling to lose weight. I'm going to the Slimming World and I eat on average about 1,000 calories a day. I exercise and I'm just sort of stuck at the moment, so that's another reason why I was surprised that about the thyroid. I really thought I was going to be needing more. Is there any chance of trying the I used to be on liothyronine. Oh, why not? Well, I was just going to say, so there's nothing to be done then, is there? Alright then. Thank you very much. Bye. I don't know why I get so stressed about phone calls like that. Luckily he wasn't trying to take me off any thyroxine, which was what I was worried about, so that's a relief. But he just said that the symptoms that I'm feeling are of something else. It's something different. So you heard me asking about liothyronine, which is what I had previously been prescribed. Too expensive and not enough evidence, so they're not allowed to prescribe that anymore. I would have to pay for it. And he said he didn't recommend that as there isn't enough evidence to go with it. And to be honest, that's not something I would fight for, because whilst I think I did feel marginally better, it wasn't so much better that it would be worth paying. It's going to be a long wait until I put this video up, I'm afraid. I'll leave this here. Bye. So there we are. I'm afraid I did warn you, it wasn't the cheeriest of videos, and it seems like this video has come to an end because this is probably the end of my thyroid disease story. I'm not convinced that it's still not a thyroid problem that's making me feel the way I've explained, but the doctors seem to think that it might be something else. ME is the most likely thing that they think it could be. I haven't been back to the doctors to confirm that or have another round of blood tests, partly from time, partly because sometimes it's just easier to plod on than face something new, isn't it? So maybe I will go back at some point in the future, but right now I'm actually not feeling too bad, although This video was obviously filmed last year. I only edited it this week, and watching it back I think, gosh, actually I must have been feeling pretty bad, and I don't feel that bad at the moment. So that is ending this video slightly on a positive. And you don't often notice when you're feeling okay until you remember how bad you used to feel. Do you know what I mean? Maybe if my symptoms start getting worse again, I will go back to the doctors and talk to them again. If I do, then perhaps you'll see me on National ME Awareness Day. I don't mean to be flippant. It might, you kind of gotta laugh or you'll cry. So yeah, right now all is quite well with me, really. On the whole, I'm feeling quite happy and okay. My body doesn't always agree with me, and I'm still struggling with the same issues, the weight loss, the memory loss and that sort of thing. But on the whole, I'm not feeling as tired and exhausted as I obviously was when I filmed most of this video. So I hope it's helped bring some awareness to the disease, and yeah, like I said earlier, ask me any questions and I'll answer them as best as I can. And really that's all how I can end the video. I don't really know how else to end it, so I'll just say goodbye. I hope it's helped somehow. I hope it's helped someone, and I'll see you again next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.